Welcome. Can I just give you some housekeeping notices, please? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming. I just need to tell you that if there's a fire alarm, the fire exits, as you can see, are on each side and at the back. So if you could make your way straight to the exits. There are toilets out of that door and round to your right. So if you need that, that's that way. I'm not sure that they're out that way, so it's that way, please. And welcome to the event. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll hand over now to Professor Dave Spratt, who's going to start with the details about the Doctoral School. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to UCL. My name's David Spratt. I'm the Vice Head of the Doctoral School. And for my day job, I'm a microbial ecologist. What we're going to do today is spend this morning going through a number of aspects of what it is to research, be PhD students, research students at UCL. So, does it work? What we're going to talk about, I think, to start with, is what is a research degree? Okay, so this is UCL. We are London's global university. Here's some figures that are relatively impressive. So we've got lots of stuff. Oh, God. We've got lots of staff. Largest student body in London, and nearly 6,000 of you you've joined our research students, and 1 in 20 research students in the whole of the UK is based here, which is amazing. I only found that out today. And you're from all over the world. This is a graph of how many doctorates are awarded by a date, and as you can see, UCL is the red line. So we have increased and expanded massively over the last 10 years. Oh, God, pushing the wrong button, sorry guys. Over the last 10 years. Okay. So, research at UCL. We are counted as number 1 of the last ref for research strength. But our ideals are really about fostering leadership whilst grounded in excellence, clearly. Cross-disciplinarity. We are a multi-faculty university. We have 11 faculties. We do almost everything here so that it allows that cross-disciplinarity, which makes us very, very strong. And our research actually has impact from close around Bloomsbury all the way out to the rest of the world. This is probably my favourite slide. This is what we try and make you. This is what we expect to happen. We expect you to be creative, critical, autonomous, and intellectual risk takers. That's what getting your PhD from here. These are the key aspects, apart from learning something specific in your field or pushing science forward somewhere. It is these other things which are incredibly important. And they will prepare you for your next step after you've finished your PhD for almost anything the world can throw at you. If you can do a PhD, you can do almost anything. Believe me. So, what's your PhD? We're going to talk about that in a number of ways. So, maybe you should think, who is this PhD for? Why is it needed? Have you thought about all those things? What is the outcome or the product of it? Have you thought about that? Okay, the outcome might be, the simple answer is a body of work. That is my thesis. We're going to look at one later. But it's not really that. The output, the product, isn't that. It's someone that can manage projects. It's someone that can go out and do things because of the training you've got. We've trained you, or your PhD has trained you, to be these intellectual risk takers. That's the product. This is something that we perhaps forget, and that's making the most of this environment. We have 11 faculties. We are a huge university. You will be a small part of that university. You might be in a laboratory. You might have a desk where you're writing your thesis in some history. But that's this set. That's this line here. That's your local environment. But the environment as a whole is far, far bigger than that. And you should take advantage of that. You should take advantage of these local networks, international networks, all of these type of things across the disciplines. What UCL has had to build itself on is a faculty structure. And that's themed usually, but we have domains which cross those. I'm a microbiologist. Recently, we've launched a domain called the microbiology domain. And that's because we don't have a department of microbiology here. And it seems that 7 of the 11 faculties have microbiologists in them. And this is a way to bring those together. Civil engineers with artists, with medics. So think about those. Look at, and try and use them to your advantage. The last one, the skills and services. Lots going on, and you'll find out lots of that later on today, and from your logbook. What I think is also key is not just work, not just networking. We need to think about social networks, London, work-life balance. Okay, that's also important. You're in this for the long haul. It's going to be a minimum of 3 years, might be 5 years if you're part-time. We cannot just be fixated with our PhD or our research degree. We have to think about other things, because you can't run fast and hard for 3 years. It's not possible. Something will go wrong. So don't expect to, and try and use these social networks. Think about your balance of life. Okay. Another very important part of your research studies is research integrity. What do I mean by that? Well, this is about this is about trust. This is about openness. And it's something that you're all going to have to do no matter what discipline you're in. Every discipline, every research, every day. The most trusted professions and the least trusted professions. Here we are. Nurses, doctors, teachers, professors, scientists.
Dave, sorry to interrupt.
I've got to go. Oh, sorry. Sorry. There you go. Is that better? Oh, excellent. Right. Scientists, professors here. Above judges. But interestingly, weather forecasters do well. And here we have politicians, government ministers, estate agents, bankers. Okay, so the point is, we are all in this category here, I hope. And this research integrity has 4 pillars, really. Honesty, we've talked about that briefly. Rigor, transparency and communication, care and respect. This is the pyramid of how we try and involve you in that. We have the induction to UCL in level 1. This is just the basic idea of integrity. You will all do this. You will all do this as well, Introduction to Research Integrity. And then depending on what project you go on to do, you may wish or need to move on to the top of the research integrity pyramid. Part of that, we'd said just now, was open science. Okay? Fair data. So it's findable, accessible, interpretable, and reusable. Open access publications. All publications now are expected to be open access so that anyone can get them. We're all expected to do that for certainly our research grants. There is a UCL publication service record. We have to put all our outputs on that. You can go and use that, and you can put your outputs on there. And then you get an ORCID ID, which goes beyond UCL. This is a unique identifier that PhD students can get as well, and follow you through your entire career of research, or indeed whatever you go off to do. We're going to hear some more about this later, but the Doctoral School puts on a whole massive program of development skills, and these are generic research skills, transferable skills, more of those later, but they will help now in the future. They will get you to network. They're not just for your discipline, so you'll be with lots of other students from right across UCL. They're all free, and you're all welcome to use as many as you wish. For some of your degrees, you will need to do a certain number anyway. There's the student log. This is a way where we can, or you can, manage your PhD. It's a management tool, allows you to put data in there, talk to and record how you've discussed things with your supervisor. It's actually a good way to manage your supervisor. Some supervisors need some management. And this is a really good way of allowing you to do that, and there's more of that later. So you can put documents and manage those. It's recording meetings. You can use it to record your skills development, and you can use it anywhere in the country. You can access it to add things, etc. It's really quite useful. It reminds supervisors to do things. It will remind you to do things. It's got a nice timeline to say when you should be doing things, when things should happen. There are 2 sessions on this, 17th and the 5th. They are exactly the same. They're not 1 and 2. They're just 2 of them. You have to register via the skills program on there, but I think it's something that all of you should go to 1 of. I told you this is my favourite slide, so I've put it in again. Creative, critical, autonomous, intellectual risk takers. That's what we need to aim for. That's what we're trying to do. Welcome to UCL. Okay. Next is Ben Colville from the Doctoral School, who's going to talk to you about key people, spaces and resources. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Dave. First of all, let me add my very warm welcome to you all. Welcome to UCL and to our research community, but also welcome to the wider research community. You're now part of a very exciting collection of people globally, staff, students, people working in universities, in think tanks, in research institutes globally, thinking, creating, and doing research. And it's important to see yourself as part of that community, so welcome. This is an exciting and transformative part of your life, I think. Now, I'm fully aware that you'll be bombarded with information over the coming weeks, so I'm just going to talk to you very simply about 3 things, as Dave said. Who's out there? What are the sort of things that are going to help you, the resources that are going to help you get started? And where can you go? Where can you go outside your department if you want to do some research? And importantly, where can you go if you don't want to do research, if you want to escape? Now, I can only whisper this, but you are allowed to have a break from your research. So I'm going to show you some of the places on campus you can go to do that. So people, first of all, the most important part. So this is just a very brief map, really, of who's out there. That's you at the top, research student. And the people that you're going to have the most to do with are there in the first sector. Of course, your supervisory team. Now, they're the people who are going to be supporting you, going to be helping you frame your research, they're going to be challenging you, they're going to be working with you very, very regularly over the next 3 or 4 years. They're going to become, in some ways, more important to you than your partner, than your dog, than your mother. So, most of you may have met your supervisors already. Who has? Can you raise your hand if you've already met your supervisors? Most of you. Okay. So you will all have 2 supervisors, at least. As the name suggests, the principal supervisor is going to be the person that you're working with, really on a day-to-day basis. Now, you'll meet that person at least once a month, and more than likely, much more regularly than that. But you'll also have other people as part of your supervisory team. You'll have a subsidiary supervisor, who's someone who can meet you probably less regularly, but they're really useful to give you a second opinion, to add some expertise into your supervisory team if you need it. But your supervisory team might have more people in than that. If you're working with an industrial collaborator, for example, they'll be part of your wider supervisory team. And you can also bring in other people as your research expands and develops over the 3 or 4 years. So there's 2 core people, but it's a kind of permeable team to help you support your research. The other people in that line are the student centre, and they're the admin folk that are going to help you with all the administrative stuff to do with your degree. They're virtual, they have an online presence, email, etc., of course, but they're also physically based on campus, and you can pop in and ask them any sort of questions as you go along. They're based at the moment just by the main gate in Gower Street, but you will probably have seen that there's a shiny new student centre being built on Gordon Street, and I think that's due to be open around Christmas time, so that'll be an excellent new space for you as well. But they're there to help you with the sort of admin side of your research degree. So beyond those primary people, each department or division has someone called a departmental graduate tutor, and they are a member of academic staff. They are an experienced supervisor themselves. They will, of course, have been a PhD student. And they're someone you can go to if you want to talk about things outside your supervisory team. If you want a second opinion, if you want to discuss how your research is going, or you think you've come across a problem, that's a really good person to come and support you within the department. Equally, at the faculty level, there's someone called the faculty graduate tutor, and they'll be a senior member of the academic staff. And again, if you want to talk to someone outside your department completely, they're a really good person to go and see. Now, the name faculty graduate tutor sounds a bit austere, and they are a senior member of professorial staff, but they are really nice people. I've met them all, there are 11 of them, and they're very approachable. So please don't feel afraid to go and see those people. They can provide some really good support if you need them. And right there at the bottom, not last, last but not least, is someone called the student mediator. Now that name is quite enigmatic, and I don't know if she's here yet, but you will meet her later on. She's called Ruth, Dr. Ruth Siddle. And student mediator is perhaps a good title, but I prefer to think of her as student champion, perhaps, or student voice. She's someone you can go to completely outside the academic hierarchy of UCL. And if you want to chat, you want to talk to her about any issues or any problems that you're facing, she's brilliant. Just go and see her. She's based on Central Campus, and she'd be really happy to talk to you. She is an experienced supervisor herself and a PhD student, as was, and will really understand the sort of things that our research students go through on a day-to-day basis. Behind all this sits us in the Doctoral School, and we set the strategy and policy for doctoral education at UCL. But we're also there to help you. If you want to pop in and see us, you're very welcome to. You can find all our information on the website, so don't forget about us too. Now, this is one of the key documents that I want to talk to you about as well. This is the Code of Practice for Graduate Research Degrees. Now, you should receive a copy of this from your departments, a hard copy, and of course it's on our website as well. But it's really worth reading now, right at the beginning, right before you start. The regulations, the academic manual, you'll need to read those at various points, but you don't want to read those yet. It's enormous, it'll put you to sleep. don't read it yet. Do read this. It's short, sweet, and basically it tells you about all those people I've just described, but it also tells you about what's expected of you. And that's really important to get under your belt right at the beginning. Short and sweet, have a read of this, talk to your supervisor about it. What sort of things is your supervisor going to expect from you? And how are you going to work that relationship between the two of you? This document will really help. Okay, let me just show you where our website is. Very simple to find. This is the main UCL website. Current students, click on that, and then there we are on the resources. There we are over there on the right-hand side under resources, not under University Sexual Assault Survey, as that slide seems to suggest, but there we are. Slightly unfortunate slide, perhaps. But we're very easy to find, and there's loads of information there on what we offer and basically managing your PhD or your research degree while you're with us. That's our homepage. And at the top, you'll see 3 big buttons which lead you to the Research Student Log, which Dave mentioned earlier, directly to the Skills Development Programme, which is a program of upwards of sort of 1,200 different sessions each year, probably the largest program in Europe for PhD students, for professional doctorates, for whatever research degree you're on. Really useful stuff. And as Dave said, really good way to get to meet other students as well. Have a look at that today. I think the program is already open, so some of those sessions will be filling up. So make sure you have a browse of that. Talk to your supervisor about what sort of things they would recommend that you take in your first year. Have a look at the stuff that you might want to do in your second and third years. On our website, there's also information on news and events, of course. But the most important page, perhaps, is the essential information page. And that provides you with links to all of the essential processes, forms, information that you're going to need right from the beginning of your PhD, right through to your thesis submission at the end. So make sure you bookmark that page and go back to there regularly. Okay, I said I'd talk to you a little bit about some of the resources. And library services is probably one that I really want to highlight. Now, you're all expert users of libraries already, of course. You've done your undergraduate, perhaps you've done a master's. You know how to use libraries. Well, things have changed a little bit now. You are now have a different relationship with your library. You're now a kind of super user, as I like to think of it. What's different? Well, you're now not only a consumer of information, you're now a producer of information, a producer of knowledge. If you think of it in one way, your thesis is actually going to be housed in the library at the end of your PhD. But your relationship with this resource is going to change. And the good news is that that means that the librarians are going to find you really interesting now. They're really going to want to talk to you. They're really going to want to help you find those pieces of research that are out there. Subject librarians are really essential to get to know them. They are going to really help you. They want to collaborate with you and find the information for you. Excellent people to go and find out about. Look on the library website. There's a huge amount of information out there. Make sure you get to know about it. And when we talk about libraries, UCL has, I think, 19 libraries at the moment. So there's some based in departments and institutes. It's not just the main library. Think wider than that. But even beyond UCL, of course, now as a research student of UCL, you have access to a huge variety of different libraries across the country and, of course, electronically across the world. Thinking just locally, Senate House, of course, is just down the road. Some great collections there. I'm in the humanities, and there's some brilliant collections there. The Schools of Advanced Studies, the Warburg Institute, for example, is one of our neighbours. Again, a brilliant resource there for researchers. And of course, the institution on the opposite side of Euston Road, the British Library. So one of the first things you probably want to do is go over there and get a reader card. That is a wonderful moment in your life, I had to say, when you get a reader card from the British Library and then you pop next door to a coffee shop and you happen to just casually throw your British Library reader card onto the counter as you order your coffee. What a wonderful moment to show that you've made it. Brilliant. Library services also really do understand what researchers are at UCL. It sounds a bit of a weird thing to say, but they really do. And they run a lot of bespoke training just for you, just for research people, on how to use a library in the best way possible. There's some sessions coming up pretty soon about introductory sessions for researchers in particular. You can find all the information through the Doctoral Skills Development Programme, and really good things to go on right at the beginning. Okay, so one of the things you're going to want to do straight away is have a look at some theses. Now, you can find hard copies in the library, of course, and electronically linked to all sorts of databases with UCL theses from the past or from global theses right across the world, actually. And I think it's really worth going and handling one. This is a PhD thesis. Now, it really helps to kind of demystify what these things actually are. Go and open one. Go and feel the pages, smell it, see what it looks like. It's not a mythological beast that exists somewhere in the future. People have done these things, and they exist in hard copy. Go and have a look at them. This one is actually rather a slim volume. It's computational, so there are not many words in it. Go and have a look at some in your discipline, see what they look like, and also have a look at a couple from outside your discipline. I work in contemporary art theory, and when I opened this one on complex modelling of biological systems, it was quite an eye-opener, I can tell you. It's really good idea to get a feel of what other kind of research is going on at UCL and what the sort of products at the end actually are. I'm not going to go into too much IT detail, mostly because I don't know anything about it, but again, you will know how to get access to all the IT systems at UCL, I'm sure, from your previous experience of universities. But just to say, go to the main ISD website if you need help. There's a lot of information there for new students. If you're having problems accessing anything you need, go there. But more importantly, more interestingly, I think, to you, is the research computing section of ISD. So at UCL, there's a whole group of people that are interested in researchers. So what they do is they offer training, support. For instance, if you have large data sets that you need to crunch and you need some high-quality computing power, they can help you with that. If your research is producing software or code, they can help you with that, help you think about how you get that out there. So they're a really useful resource as well. So it's not just the usual sort of computer email type stuff, although that's there too, of course. Spaces. So I said I'd talk a little bit about where you can escape to and where you can work. Graduate Hub is an excellent sort of common room, I guess, is how you describe it. And it's in the South Wing. It's opposite the Print Room Cafe, if you've already found that. And it's just for you. So undergraduates can't get in there. So they'll press their little faces against the glass windows. But you can sit there in wonderful splendor and enjoy yourselves. There's sort of soft seating, computer facilities. There's a room you can book if you want to book for your society or to get together with some friends. There's a kitchenette as well. So when you tire of Tottenham Court Road's overpriced sandwiches, you can go in there and heat up your falafel leftovers. It's a brilliant place, a good place to escape. Computer cluster, when the guilt of not doing your work overcomes you, you can rush straight from the South Wing to the DMS Watson computer cluster. That's a great big computer cluster just for you, again, just for graduate students, and an awful lot of computing facilities there as well. Research Grid is something that we created a couple of years ago, and that sort of sits somewhere between the idea of workspace and social space. There are two of them now, one in the main library, quite a small facility, but the main one is in the DMS Watson Science Library. And that's a beautiful new modernish type space, which consists of individual work pods, group workrooms, lockers, all that kind of stuff. It's a really useful space when you want to get away from your departments. Okay, just a very quick recap really on this idea of communities. At UCL, we've got some really excellent research student-led graduate societies. So beyond all the usual societies you'd expect at a university, there's some ones that have been created by you and run by you. And you can see just a small selection up there. There's you'd expect, I guess, perhaps an enterprise society. Interdisciplinary Society for International Development does a lot of great work. LEARN, the Evolutionary Research Network, is based at UCL, but right across London and wider, in fact. Opticon is an academic journal, and then the wonderfully titled Spices and Medicine Society at UCL. I'm not quite sure what they do, but they sound exciting. So go and find out about them. But the idea behind this is there's a wide variety of existing societies, but we have funding if you want to create more. So really keen for you to think up some interesting ideas, to get together with your peers, create a community, start to think about some important and interesting research questions, and we've got some money for you as well to do it. Okay, very quickly, we've got some competitions coming up this year as well. Research Images as Art competition, a really interesting way of thinking about your research differently. And that opens in October. Poster competition, and that opens in November. And then the 3-minute thesis competition, which is a really fascinating way to describe your research in 3 minutes with one PowerPoint slide. It's great fun and really, really difficult, so look out for that. Before I'm hustled off the stage, one last thing, Doctoral School handbook. Again, you'll get this from your department, and everything I've said is in here. Okay, very quickly, best of luck. Cheers.
Thank you, Ben. Really useful. Lots of really cool places to be, other things to do. Right, next is Dr. Martin Davis. He's Director of Business and Innovation Partnerships at UCL, and he's going to have a talk to you about said things.
Thanks very much indeed, Dave, and can I just add my welcome to those you've had already. If you did your undergraduate or master's work at UCL, or if you're new to UCL, welcome, and we wish you all the very best of luck as you start your research careers. My name is Martin Davis. I'm the Director of Business and Innovation Partnerships in UCL Innovation Enterprise, and I'll explain shortly what that's all about. I don't have any slides, just some introductory comments, and there's a sort of couple of two main messages I want to leave you with at the end of this. Firstly, UCL Innovation Enterprise, what is that? Well, we're a central unit of the university dedicated to helping students and staff to develop ideas and to take them out to the world and to find new ways to help UCL research. That means your research have an impact on society and the economy. We do that in a number of ways. We develop and support major institutional relationships between UCL and businesses. We support the whole process of identifying and protecting and exploiting new intellectual property, more of which I'll say shortly, and helping find commercial partners for that. We help staff carry out consultancy with external clients. We provide a whole range of support for support, advice and guidance for developing short courses. And most importantly for you, I think and I hope, we have a major and fast-growing student entrepreneurship program, extracurricular student entrepreneurship program for both undergraduates and postgraduates alike. That program runs out of our dedicated hatchery space for new businesses called Base KX, which is just north of King's Cross Station, and their regular programs throughout the year of business plan competitions, courses to develop entrepreneurial skills, hackathons and social enterprise challenges. And just last year we were able to support more than 60 UCL students to start new businesses, and so far those new businesses have secured nearly £9 million in further funding and investment from investors to take their companies forward. And most recently, and quite inspiring, a group of UCL students we work with, undergraduates and master's students, won the HALT Prize, the Global HALT Prize, a challenge mounted by the HALT Foundation. This year the challenge was around energy and sustainability, and their business idea to introduce a new way of drying rice, particularly important in a number of emerging countries, emerging economies, won the first prize. And that came with $1 million prize money and an endorsement and award from former President Bill Clinton. That happened in the United Nations building a couple of weeks ago, and some of our team are over there, and it's really inspiring to see the students receive that. Coming back to the doctoral students and research students, this year we launched a new scheme solely for doctoral students, which has been made possible by some funding we've had from Santander Bank. This is called SPERO, S-P-E-R-O. It's a 3-day workshop that happens once a month, where we take participants through a whole process of developing new ideas, working in teams to develop new business propositions, and in that you'll be mixed up with groups if you want to get involved of people from different disciplines, people you haven't met before. It's really fun, it's really exciting, and is really helping to build out some of those skills that Dave was talking about to develop you as creative, critical, autonomous, intellectual risk takers. Now, so far, it's the launch year this year. We're just piloting it. It's been very, very popular so far, which is great, and that means there's a bit of a waiting list at the moment. But please, I would encourage you to have a look at the information on our website, sign up if you're interested, and if it's something you want to take further as you progress through your studies, then the team will be able to help you. So the website is ucl.ac.uk/enterprise, or just simply email enterprise@ucl.ac.uk. So the second main point I want to emphasise was about intellectual property, which I mentioned earlier. That is the new ideas, the new insights that you are going to develop during your research. Now, at UCL, the position is that you, the students, own your own IP, unless there is an agreement to have that assigned somewhere. So, for example, if your PhD was part funded by a company, then there may be a different arrangement. But the starting point is that you own your own intellectual property. Not all universities have that position, I should say, but at UCL we believe that's the right thing to do. It empowers you to think as freely as you possibly can about your research and where it could go. But if you are in any doubt at all about the arrangements around intellectual property coming out of your research projects, please do come and talk to us, Innovation Enterprise, or of course speak to your supervisor as well. So it's a really exciting time to be involved in research. It's a really exciting time to be at UCL. It's a really exciting time to be in London, in the part of London that we're in. We're surrounded by a mass of great intellectual institutions, of institutions like the Crick, the Alan Turing Institute, the British Library, some really major global businesses moving into the area where we are. So you're right in the heart of enormous stimulating intellectual zone, and if that stimulates your entrepreneurial ideas, please do come and talk to us at UCL Innovation Enterprise. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. If you didn't catch the contact details, there is a link on the Doctoral School website to take you to that, to talk to Martin and his team about any fantastic ideas that are going to make you millionaires by next year. Okay, next. Dr. Jana Dankovic, I was practicing this as well, Dankovichkova, who's going to talk to you about careers. Thank you. Sorry, that's rubbish.
Okay, hello, and a very warm welcome from UCL Careers as well. Gosh, it's so many of you. That's quite amazing. So my name is Jana Dankovičová, and I am a career consultant. Yeah, that's it. I'm a career consultant at UCL Careers, and I'm a member of a small team that works specifically with researchers, so with research students and with postdocs. We would encourage you to engage with us quite early. So you might think, so why, I just hardly started, why would I want to go to UCL Careers? So, well, you came here to become experts in your field and researchers, and you will become experts and you will learn lots of useful skills. But I would very much encourage you to engage with thinking about your future steps quite early on. Because if you leave thinking about what I want to do one day and what skills I might need, and if you leave it right till the end of your PhD, you will make your life much harder because the job market is competitive, so you need to think quite early. And that's true if you want to stay in academia after your PhD or if you want to have a career outside academia. There is loads of things that you can do during your PhD that will help you to develop experience and skills that would be really useful in both career paths. And also, career thinking takes a while. So first step that you normally do when you plan your career is some self-exploration, thinking well, what do I want? What are my interests? What motivates me? What are my strengths? So, and that takes a bit of time, and it's good to pay some attention to this stage, rather than thinking, okay, I have these research skills, therefore I should go to this and this job. So then you will have to have some time to explore what roles you might go to, what are the suitable sectors, try to get some work experience, learn some skills. And then you will come to the stage when you want to apply for jobs and prepare applications. So all this takes a little while. So as you can see from the tips of the PhD graduates from UCL that we collected in case studies, planning early really does pay off. And that's also not just for developing skills, but also developing contacts. And you heard in the previous presentations that there are lots of networks, professional and others that you can engage with. Also, alternative experience. Use your time when you are PhD students to look outside your PhD and where else you can gain some extra experience. That will help you to build various skills. Could be, you know, there are lots of skills that are useful in both academia and outside academia, leadership skill, presentation skills, negotiations, etc. Also, we find in our practice that PhD students are not always that great at being aware what a wide range of skills you actually develop, and also how to articulate them. And that's really helpful to know how to do that. Yeah, occasionally we get also a very nice comments, so do engage with us. So I'll talk you through quickly what is available for us. Because sometimes people think that careers is just really for CV checking. So we do that, obviously, but we do much, much more than that. So you can come to individual consultations. We provide confidential appointments where you can discuss your next career move, your career options. And we also, when you are despairing about how to write a CV or cover letter, how to fill in applications, we help with those as well. If you have an invitation for an interview, and some of you might want to have a part-time job already during your PhD, we provide mock interviews as well. And as I say, we have specialists. I'm one of the career consultants. I have a colleague. So we have academic background, and we provide specialist consultations to take you to success. Okay, so we also run workshops for researchers. So these are both for academic route, academic path, and for careers outside academia, and that covers standard things about career planning, but also CV writing and applications, preparing you for interviews. For careers outside academia, the provision is a bit wider, understandably, so we also included now a workshop about that self-awareness stage of their career planning. We also help with giving you tips how to build a LinkedIn profile, how to where to research jobs, etc. You book these, so the consultations, the one-to-one consultations, you book on our booking system. You are all enrolled, so you come to our website, and through the links there you can book there. For the workshops, you need to book through the Doctoral Skills websites that you saw in Ben's presentation. And importantly, we also run loads of events with employers. And I would really encourage you to engage with these, because they will help you to build networks, to be aware of what's out there. So for all students, we have big career fairs, we have employer presentations, we have themed weeks for some more niche sectors, and we have skills development sessions run by employers as well. So these are available for all students, but we also have a program of employer events which are specific for researchers, for you and for also postdocs. So these may be fairs, it may be forums, so panel discussions with people who have PhD and work now in jobs outside academia. And they are organized in different sectors. You have a list here. And this selection is based on our research. What are the sectors that PhD graduates tend to be most interested in? These are really, really useful because you will hear tips and experiences that you will not find on websites or anywhere else. It's very lovely. And you have an experience of networking after these events as well. And newly in 2018, we introduced a new service. We have a personnel team whose job is to look outside in the job market and source relevant positions for researchers. So these might be jobs, it might be internships, and they are posted on our booking system under vacancies. So this is an extra service that we now provide. We have researchers' blog as well. We have case studies on our website that might be an inspiration for you when you plan your next career steps as well. So do come and see us quite early on. Do think about your careers. There is plenty you can do during your PhD. We are based in the Student Central building, just opposite the Mallet Street Waterstones, and we are on the 4th floor. And you can keep in touch in various ways. So thank you very much and good luck with your PhD.
Thank you, Jana. Okay. Hello. Next, we have Ruth Siddle, who is the student mediator, who was at the bottom of the triangle that Ben showed earlier, and she's going to talk to you about student mediation. I think we need a different one of these.
I've got some slides as well. Yes, I have. Look at that magic.
Hello? Oh, that's all.
Blimey, is that working? Hello. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Is this working? I'm getting some nods. Good sign. Well, I'd like to extend my welcome to you all, and delighted to see you all here at UCL doing a PhD. I did my PhD here at UCL a few years ago, and it was a great experience, and so I don't see any reason why you shouldn't have an absolutely fantastic experience here as well. But if you don't have a great experience, I'm somebody you can come and speak to. So my job title is student mediator, and actually mediation in its textbook sense is only about a third of what I do. There are 3 strands to my job: mediation, advising students who want to make a formal complaint, and also dealing with cases of bullying and harassment as well. So 3 things you can come and see me about. So everything's going to be fine, right? I don't want to kind of go, oh, you know, it's a really hard, nightmarish experience doing a PhD. Most of the time it's brilliant, and this is going to be the one time in your lives that you're going to have nothing to do but research. And let me tell you what an amazing experience that is, and how I wish that, you know, that was what life was like forever. So really make the most of this opportunity. But one of the things about working in a research situation with a supervisor or with a close-knit team of fellow researchers is it can be a really intense professional relationship. And we're all human. We all have bad days, we all have good days. Things can go wrong. There can be breakdowns in just relationships just because you don't get on with somebody that well. Or, you know, somebody can be going through a bad patch and being a bit rude, a bit tetchy. You know, I am somebody who can help you if situations go wrong. So I can, you know, if you do have a breakdown in a relationship between somebody in your lab or even your supervisor, come and see me before it gets really bad. And I can help mediate that situation. And I do have quite a good success rate, actually. It works. So do come and let me. You know, if you do have something that goes much more nuclear wrong, you know, and you want to put in a complaint about some experience again, come and see me. However, I should just say, mediation between breakdowns in relationships is something I do quite a lot for PhD students. I have very few formal complaints from PhD students. That we run a fairly tight ship here. And also, as I said, if you feel that you're the victim of bullying and harassment from anybody, from somebody within the UCL community or somebody outside that, and that of course includes sexual harassment, again, come and see me and I can help you with options for moving forward with that. You're going to hear also, I think you may already have heard from student welfare, they could give you kind of logistical talking therapy support, but I can give you kind of the practical what to do next kind of help. So what is mediation? Right, well my role is neutral, so I'm not going to be your advocate. I'm not somebody that's going to take your side in a dispute. I'm going to look at that situation objectively and try and find the best way through it. And it does work, so it gets you talking to the person that you couldn't talk to. And there's a little bit of information there, but I'm going to zoom through because I know we're running late. But it's an opportunity to air your problems in a safe space. Just a little bit about the UCL complaints process. We're not a legal service. UCL complaints, if you like, uses natural justice. It's not the law. And if you do feel you have grounds for complaint, try and resolve it informally with your department in the first instance, or indeed with me. I can help with that as well before you go to the major complaints process. Obviously, the hardest thing to deal with is if you feel that you've been subject to bullying and harassment by somebody you know. It can be really disruptive, especially when you're trying to study and trying to get things done. It can really put you off your stride. So do come and see me. I am, unfortunately, all too used to hearing disclosures of all types of bullying and harassment. So you can come and talk to me in a safe space. I'm not going to be shocked at what I hear. I know what you're going to need and what options you have available. So again, don't hesitate to come and speak to me about that. And if you know somebody else or witness somebody else that's being bullied, you can also come and talk to me about it, and we can look at options for saying that. So I think, you know, the really important line on this slide here is that you never tell someone to forget it or cover up. Never excuse somebody. If somebody in your lab is using inappropriate language that you or somebody else finds difficult to deal with, they shouldn't be doing that. So, you know, that's something we can help with. So, finally, I'm easy to contact. There's only one of me. My name's Dr. Ruth Siddall. You can just Google my name on the UCL website. Have a PA, Jodie. I sit in Anthony Smith's office. Anthony Smith is the Vice-Provost Education and Student Affairs. So Jodie is actually a joint PA between me and Anthony. She can book meetings for you, or you can find my full contact details and FAQs and other bits and pieces on my website. So again, just go to the UCL homepage and Google Student Mediator. But I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but I hope I never see any of you ever again. And everything's going to be brilliant, and it probably will be. Okay? Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ruth. Okay. Next, we've got Wes Durdle from Student Support and Wellbeing. Wes, come on up. I think you've got a clicker here. Do you know how you've got a video?
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay. Before I start, please can I just get a quick show of hands who came to the International Student Orientation Programme talks last week? Okay, I'm very sorry to all of these people because you've got me again. I presented at those talks. You're probably sick of my face. I'm very sorry. But the good news is I'm just speaking for a couple of minutes before I present a video that we've made explaining all the different support services that we offer. So just 3 things that I would like to say before I play the video. First of all is you'll see a lot of different support services. It's about 10 minutes or so. It explains pretty much everything that we offer and that you have available. You guys as research students have one additional resource that nobody else has access to, which is occupational health and well-being. So you also have access to, for example, the Employee Assistance Program, and that is because lots of you obviously will be fulfilling staff roles as well as student roles. So you might be teaching, so you have that additional resource through occupational health and well-being. The main thing to say about that is that it offers counselling, it offers support to you over the phone, online and also face-to-face, and it's available whenever you need it. So it's an additional resource on top of everything else. Second thing I want to say is the video might seem a little bit overwhelming. This entire week is a bit overwhelming. There's all sorts of information coming at you. Hopefully, all of you, when you enrolled, you were given one of these blue guides. This is the Here to Support You guide, and it summarizes everything in the video and also other support services that we offer. So in most cases, you won't need to use us at all. Very similar to what Ruth was saying, we kind of hope that we don't ever see you. But if you find that you do need support and you are struggling and you're not sure where to go, have a look again at this book here. You can also visit our website. You can watch the video again on YouTube. The most important service that I really want to emphasize is our drop-in service. So this is run every day, Monday to Friday, when UCL is open. It's upstairs in this building on level 3. It runs for 2 hours. You don't need an appointment. So essentially, if you are feeling stressed, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're having any kind of issues in your personal life and you're not sure where to go, head to the drop-in and you can speak to one of our advisors. So they are specialists in mental health, wellbeing and disability. As I said, you don't need an appointment. Even if you're unsure if you would benefit from support, it's great to just go and have a chat and they can refer you on to other services. And then the final thing I want to say before I play the video, so obviously your research students, you may think you know it all, you may think that you've studied at undergraduate and master's level, that you can manage, and you have been managing fine so far. And that's fantastic, but you may find that as you enter into a research degree, you have new challenges, new experiences, and where you've previously been able to manage, you may find now that you experience difficulties. So all I want to say there is there's absolutely no stigma, there's no shame in coming to speak to us and asking for support, and I would really encourage all of you, if you find that you're having difficulties, to come and speak to us. That is everything I need to say. Hopefully this video is going to work. If it doesn't, I'm going to have to see how much I can remember of what was in it. Let's find out. Here we go.
University life can be very rewarding and lots of fun, but can sometimes also be challenging. Lots of you might find that you need additional support at some point during your programme. Some of you might also have particular circumstances that affect your studies, like a disability or a wellbeing difficulty. If you require any extra support, it's important to remember that UCL has a range of services to help you make the most of your uni experience. It takes a lot to stand up and say, I need help. But UCL is a kind and caring environment where you're encouraged to voice your concerns. UCL Student Support and Wellbeing Department should be your first port of call for any issues impacting on your health and wellbeing. They offer lots of advice and information on how to look after yourself as a student and have a number of teams dedicated to supporting you in different ways. This video will talk you through some of the support services available to you during your time at UCL.
University is a great experience, but it can sometimes have its own challenges. As students experiencing mental health difficulties such as excessive stress, anxiety or depression is not uncommon. If you do, or you have a pre-existing mental health condition, it's important to know that there is lots of support available. Your GP can help with any mental health difficulties, and there's also lots of support available on campus. Student Support and Wellbeing have a team of friendly advisors with a wealth of expertise who are here to listen to you and to help. They can offer you a safe space to talk about anything that might be affecting your ability to study. They can refer you to other services if appropriate, and they can work closely with your department to ensure that adjustments are put in place if you need them. It's really easy to see one of the Student Support and Wellbeing advisors. You can come to one of their drop-in sessions, which happen every working day, and these are usually for short inquiries and initial support. If you find that you need more time with an advisor, you can contact them over the phone or by email to make an appointment. Full details of the time and locations of the drop-in sessions can be found on the UCL website, as well as contact details for making an appointment. As well as support through the advisors, if you're managing a long-term mental health condition, you may have access to specialist mental health mentoring. Mentors can meet with students on a regular basis, and together you can work out how to best overcome the barriers to your learning related to your mental health. There is a team of psychiatrists and therapists on campus in student psychological and counselling services. They can help you manage a range of things like adjusting to university, relationship, self-harm behaviours, bereavement and many others. You'll need to complete an online registration form which you can find on the UCL website. After that, you'll then have an initial consultation with a therapist who will talk to you about your needs and make sure that you get the most appropriate form of support. If you find that you need support out of hours, UCL has partnered with an organisation called Care First to provide this. They have a team of accredited counsellors who you can talk to over the phone or online through live chat whenever the Student Support and Wellbeing offices are closed. Full details of this can be found on the UCL student website. Remember that your mental health is just as important as your studies, so make sure that you look after yourself.
As students, it's really important for us to have a balance between our mental well-being and our studies. The Student Support and Wellbeing team at UCL is here to help us achieve that. So, what are the 5 key ways to looking after your mental health? The first way is to connect. You'll make the most of your time here at UCL by building a personal support network. So try to meet others where you live, through your program, or through clubs and societies. The second way is staying physically active. Exercising and keeping your body in good shape can help improve your mental well-being as well. The third way is learning something new. Picking up a new skill can both build your sense of achievement and your confidence, so try signing up to a club or a society. The fourth way is giving to others. Even a small act of kindness can make a big difference, and helping others, no matter how you do it, will make you feel better about yourself. The final way is to be mindful. This can be as simple as taking 2 minutes to focus on the present moment, to see, hear, and feel what's going on around you. It can positively change the way you feel about life and approach challenges. It's also important to remember that something as simple as sleep is vital to your well-being. Not getting enough sleep can seriously impact your ability to study, and getting stressed about not sleeping enough will just make the situation worse. Try to find what works for you, but for most people this will be between 7 and 9 hours sleep a night. Remember, Student Support and Wellbeing have a friendly team of advisors who are here to help and listen. They run drop-in sessions through the week so you can speak to someone at any time. If you need to speak to someone for longer, you can also book an appointment. If your needs are more specific, they also have the ability to refer you to other services. If there's anything else you need in regards to well-being, check out the Student Support and Wellbeing blog. It's got great articles on all aspects of well-being, mindfulness, and mental health support.
If you have a disability or long-term health condition, there's lots of support available to you at UCL. Student Support and Wellbeing have a team of advisors that are here to help. We can discuss how we could support you to study as independently as possible, and we'll work with you to identify solutions such as reasonable adjustments. If you consider yourself to be disabled, then get in touch with Student Support and Wellbeing to declare your condition over the phone or via email. This helps to make sure that we can get all necessary adjustments in place for you as quickly as possible. When you meet your advisor for the first time, they'll take you through the process of creating a summary of reasonable adjustments. This is a document which contains all the adjustments that you may need. This may include the use of specialised equipment, access to our specialist IT suite, extensions to your assignments, or adjustments in your exams. The Sora is designed to make things easier, as it saves you from constantly having to repeat the adjustments you need to different members of staff. The Student Support and Wellbeing team also includes advisors who are specialists in different areas. Examples of these areas include specific learning difficulties or autistic spectrum conditions. We can also arrange support workers, such as British Sign Language interpreters, note takers, or mental health mentors if needed.
Ridgemount Practice is UCL's partner GP surgery just around the corner from the main campus. It's super important for you to register with a GP as soon as you arrive at UCL, so that you'll always have access to a doctor when you're ill. When you're ill, your GP should always be your first port of call. Where you can register depends on your postcode, as you normally register with a practice that's closest to where you live. Most UCL students live in North and Central London, so you're eligible to register with the Ridgemount Practice. To register with Ridgemount Practice, you visit their website to complete an online registration form, then you go in for a quick health check and make sure to bring your student ID with you. If you're on a short course less than 6 months, you can't register with Ridgemount Practice, but don't worry because you'll still be seen as a temporary patient. If you live further away and you're not eligible to register with the Ridgemount Practice, you can always visit the NHS website to find out your closest GP and register with them. You can contact them directly on their website. If it's an emergency, remember you can always visit your local accident and emergency. The closest A&E to UCL's main campus is UCLH near Warren Street. Once you're registered with Ridgemount Practice, you can book an appointment really easily online or over the phone. They also have a walk-in surgery open on some days that's served on a first-come, first-served basis, so you can see a doctor if it's really urgent. On top of that, Ridgemount Practice also has a team of nurses that offer services like travel vaccinations, sexual health screening, contraception, and care for minor injuries. have a look at their website for more info, and remember to look after yourself at uni.
If you're staying in a UCL Hall of Residence, you have an additional network of support, the hall wardens and the Student Residence Advisors, or SRAs. SRAs, like me, are postgrad students, and the hall wardens are UCL members of staff. As an SRA, I'm here to help you settle into life in halls. Alongside reception security staff, we're here to make sure that you stay happy, healthy and safe during your time in halls. SRAs are available Monday to Friday from 5:30 in the evening to 8:30 in the morning. You can also contact reception staff during the day. We're also available throughout the weekend, on bank holidays and during UCL closure periods. There are lots of different times when you might like to come and find us. We can help with basic maintenance or first aid, and we're always here to listen. If you're feeling overwhelmed or unsure about a fellow resident, we're always here to help. Everyone should be able to study and relax and have a great time in halls. So if there are any disturbances or if you're feeling unsafe at any point, you can always get in touch. You can get in contact with us by calling the duty mobile number, which will be displayed in your hall, or by visiting the Wardens and Student Residence Advisors webpage, which has the names of all the SRAs based in your hall and lots of other useful information.
Hi, my name's Charlotte and I'm the Chaplain and Interfaith Advisor here at UCL. I'm here to provide pastoral support to students for any issues relating to their faith or religion. You can come and speak to me no matter what faith group you're from, or if you don't identify with a faith at all, and I'll always do my best to help. You can get in contact with me by email or over the phone, and I'm always happy to meet for face-to-face appointments. We can discuss any issue relating to your faith in confidence, and I can help to signpost you to other organisations. I can also help you find a place of worship here in London. And if you'd like to find a place on campus to pray or meditate, there are 2 quiet contemplation rooms, which are located by the Andrew Huxley building near the Print Room Cafe. When the new Student Centre opens, there'll be facilities in there as well to pray and to meditate. There's a strong faith community here at UCL, and all major faiths are represented by a society in the Students Union. You can get in touch with them through the Students Union website or go and meet them at the Freshers' Fair.
The Student Centre is a hub for student inquiries. Staff in the Student Centre can provide letters to prove you're a student and confirm student status. You can also print this yourself online through Portico. You'll need this when opening a bank account or applying for council tax exemption if you're a full-time student. They can sign forms that you're enrolled at UCL and forms for Erasmus students. The Student Centre can also answer general inquiries regarding student record and exams. They can also help international students, like printing forms for Schengen visas. If you have a question or concern and don't know where to start, the Student Centre is a great place to go. The team are always here to help and can point you in the right direction.
Okay, that's it from me. Thank you very much, and once again, welcome.
Thanks very much, Wes. Next, we have Mr. Sadiqo Rahman from the Students Union. Have you got slides?
Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you very much. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm from the Students Union. My name is Sadiqo, and I'm the Postgraduate Students Officer. Now, I'm here to tell you about what the union is, what we are, and what we're here to do for you. Now, the union is student-driven and student-run, and that means later on this year, you'll get to elect 7 students to take up a full-time sabbatical year to ensure that they deliver in changes that you want to make. Now on the screen is the 7 members that I'm talking about. Last year, I was one of them, and I was elected to spend this year full-time. So that means previous to this year, all of us were students just like yourselves. And while we were students, we gained valuable knowledge on what it's actually like to be you guys and what changes that we require for us to have a better academic experience as well as a better experience outside of studies. In the coming weeks, you will get some emails, if you haven't already, about course reps. And the course reps is a really important way which we use to maintain the students' interest. And I'm going to talk to you about that very soon. I had a video prepared, but unfortunately it seems like a different version. So I'm going to try and remember everything that was on the video. Now, sports and societies. Now, the video that you've seen before, your mental health is really important. And it's really important also that you use these opportunities to kind of take your mind away from your studies and pick up some things that you enjoy and use the opportunity to kind of do some exercise and make yourselves feel better outside of studies. We run more than 260 different societies, and more than 40 of those are faith and cultural societies. So if you're not looking for something like gliding, politics, art, then there's always something else for you to find a sense of home in doing so. We have a number of places for you. So behind the print room CAF, we have the postgraduates CAF, and that is a space just for us postgraduates. Some of these pesky undergrads will be there. We have lots of computer spaces there. We have a kitchen there, and we have table and desk spaces, which is really nice that we have our own spaces, because as you would know, there's 43,000 of us in this university, and more than 20,000 of us are postgraduate students. So whereas quite uncommon in other universities, the majority of us are postgraduate students, which is really important, and it's important that we kind of have our own spaces and we have the right facilities to kind of facilitate for our needs. We have help and support for you guys. So as UCL has their own student psychological services, we also have our advice services which support you in making complaints, in kind of putting your suggestions forward and getting your crises addressed and signposted. All of the information I spoke about is on the website and on Facebook and Twitter, so do follow us. Just a couple important things. So this weekend, we're running a Freshers' Fair. I don't usually like to call it a Freshers' Fair because it traditionally has an undergraduate tone to it. I want to call it a welcome fair. It's the highlight of the year, as most people could imagine. It's going to be an amazing time for all of us. We're taking over the entire campus, and we'll be even closing down Gower Street. So last year was really busy, and as a result, to address this kind of the queues and the busyness, what we've done is we've asked Camden Council to close down a road for us, and they've agreed, which is amazing. There's going to be live performances. There's going to be all the societies there. They'll have their own desks, and their objective will be to give you freebies, which is really important to me, right? You have lots of food, lots of free food, lots of free freebies. Make sure you bring bags to take all of them home. All the societies and cultural faith centres will have taster sessions. Now, if you're into politics and art and gliding or something else, then you can find these people and you can find these societies and you can try a taste session, a non-commitment kind of experience for you to find out whether it's something that you want to be part of this year. My advice to you would be, as a postgraduate student last year, would be that this year and your postgraduate experience will be really fast. And as I can imagine, for me, just like it would be for you, your top priority is your studies and making sure that you make the most out of UCL. But it's really important to remember that there's other things available. You'll be missing out on so much if you just focus on your academia. There's so many things that you can pick up to make sure that you enhance your experience, and that includes the voluntary service. Last year, the Students Union ran a service that made students deliver more than 64,000 hours in voluntary. Now, we have a whole number and a whole host of organizations that come to us asking for students with all these different opportunities. And what we do is make sure that we connect you guys to them. So it's a really valuable experience. We have lots of commitment-based opportunities, but again, I completely understand that sometimes you may not have the time or you may not have the kind of ability to commit to it. So what we've done is we've made sure that we've had these one-off opportunities. I did one myself last year, or earlier this year actually. We went down to a farm down the road in London, and what we did was we helped kind of fix up the farm to ensure that it's safer for all the children to come in and kind of like have their learning experiences in the farm outside of school as extracurricular stuff. And we got to meet lots of kids, and we had some teaching opportunities as well, which was really fun. But at the same time, we have lots of academic-related voluntary experiences as well, so do look out for that. It's on our website. And finally, I wish you guys all the best. And I want you guys to know that we're all based in 25 Gordon Street on the 4th floor. If there's anything that you ever need, any ideas that you have, any changes that you want to make, put it through to your course reps or come to us directly. come chat to me directly. I'm always in my office. If not, drop me an email. And I really look forward to speaking to you guys in the Freshers' Fair this weekend and throughout the year, should you have any ideas for campaigns even. I can provide you the time and the resource for you to deliver that. So thank you so much for listening, and I'm going to end it there. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Next, a short history of UCL. Professor David Davray. Would you like that?
Sure. Where do I put it?
What's that for? More than one slide.
So about halfway through the history of UCL, a famous historian who was also a politician wrote the following. First of all, he pointed out that UCL's great claim to fame of having no religious tests had actually ceased to give it an advantage because none of the other universities by the 1920s had religious tests either. So they needed to think again about their identity. And this is what he said they should think about. There's a sense in which the capital city of a country is already a university, so that a college situated in a metropolis is a university squared. Here's the center of government and law, the National Archives, the National Library, National Art Collections, to medical students, so there are hospitals of a capital city. Historian, there is no center of research so convenient or satisfying. Do you want to study our foreign history in original sources or examine at close quarters the play of our central institutions? Again, you must come to London. All these pursuits can be followed elsewhere, but nowhere so conveniently as in the metropolis. And then as now, many students at UCL were from abroad, from outside the UK, and he says it was one of the glories of University College that it's been open to people from all over, but particularly, since you're a group of PhD students, it's contributed to research. Its alumni and professors are taking full share of that great movement of human curiosity which is transforming our conceptions of the physical constitution of the universe, and so on, about all the research opportunities of a university in a capital city. He says, without being too direct, that Oxford and Cambridge have an advantage with undergraduates, but that when it comes to research, University College in the capital city is the natural leader. Now, University College at that time was much smaller than it is now, and he was speaking at a kind of midpoint. Nonetheless, he picked up with some themes that are already being discussed when the college was founded, which was in the mid to late 1820s, and they made the same points about the advantages of having a university in a capital city, and they further made the point that it is the natural place for students from all over the world. Already in the 1820s, they were anticipating the staggeringly international character of University College. Now, there's a great deal about the history of University College that you certainly don't know and that I hardly have time to summarize, but there are some very broad lines that it probably would be useful for you to assimilate in a very concentrated form. Firstly, when it was founded, it wasn't University College London, it was the University of London. It was founded just as the University of London. It was very new in England. There were only two existing universities in England, Oxford and Cambridge, and they had really become institutions for reproducing the elite of the nobility and the wealthier classes, because they're very expensive, and also the elite of the Anglican Church, because they were the main training place for ministers of the Anglican Church. They didn't do a great deal of research. What they did is teach Greek and Latin, facility in translating in and out of Greek and Latin, and mathematics. continental universities were already doing many other things, and indeed medieval universities had been far more advanced than the universities of Oxford and Cambridge, circa 1800, in their bringing together of teaching and research. So many people in the early 19th century saw the need for a new kind of university for this country and a university in London. So they founded the University of London. This caused shockwaves in the establishment because it had no religious part of the curriculum. In fact, it was never meant to be contrary to religion. The idea was that, like studying law or medicine, people from all denominations would learn about their religion in their own way, that they would make arrangements outside the university, but the university should be a neutral space. Now, that was a bit of a shock because Oxford and Cambridge both demanded membership of the Anglican Church, and King's College was founded as a direct reaction to that. And then there was a little flurry of negotiation, after which the University of London Mark II was founded, and that was in 1836. And at that phase, the University of London was an examining body consisting of colleges. So all the teaching was done in colleges, and the university itself set exams for all the colleges. And that was the case for most of the 19th century. So University College was up and running, but it was now called University College London rather than the University of London, because there was this University of London, which was an examining umbrella covering it, and King's, and then later other institutions. So what kind of place was it? Unlike Oxford and Cambridge, it was a place that encouraged a whole range of subjects which were taught by professors who had achieved a high level in those subjects. Typically, Oxford and Cambridge in this period were places which young men entered, got their first job in their early 20s. They taught, they didn't do research, they weren't allowed to marry, believe it or not. This is part of the Anglican Church, which didn't really believe in celibacy. And then most of them in their mid-30s would take an Anglican parish and leave, and a few confirmed bachelors would continue drinking heavily for the rest of their careers and teaching. So University College London aimed to provide instruction in all the sciences, in history, in a very wide range of different subjects, much more than classics and mathematics, and they recruited amazing people. There's a set of testimonials from the 1830s for a chair of chemistry, and I found this when digging around preparing one of these lectures, and I was astounded at the guy's achievements. It seemed unbelievable all this man called Reed had done. And then I realized he didn't even get the job, that somebody even better had got the job. So there was a high level of research attainment expected of the professors. But they didn't really have people like you. The professors were people who had made their mark as researchers, and they gave lectures, but they didn't train up young researchers who were meant to sort of appear. Actually, many of them appeared from Scotland, because Scotland had more advanced universities than Oxford and Cambridge, and also was open to all, it wasn't confined to the Anglican Church, put it like that. So many of the great 19th century University College people came from Scotland. Okay, so that was the situation in the 19th century. Things began to change, both institutionally and in terms of people like you at the end of that period. Institutionally, the university ceased to be just an examining body and became a federal university. That is to say, all the colleges now not only set the same examinations, but had syllabuses in common, coordinated their teaching, etc. And it was still like that when I joined the university at the age of 25 in 1977. It really was a unified university. So you're probably not even aware that you're part of a University of London, of which University College is only a part. But that was the setup. It's still the case, though University College is much stronger than the University of London, which it is a part of. You won't even find the University of London in university rankings. But actually, technically, we're a part of it. And that is still a reality at the level of research and masters. A man who had a lot to do with this was a man called Sir William Ramsay, who was a great chemist. I think the first Brit to get the Nobel Prize. And if you look at him and his career and the people around him, you get a sense of how people like you were beginning to be part of university life. He himself was Scottish. He had done his PhD in Germany, and then he moved to Bristol, and then he came to University College in his 30s and spent his career there, making astonishing discoveries, a whole new category of gases he discovered. But you can see that he was part of an international research world. There's a wonderful autobiography by a man called Otto Hahn, who's another Nobel Prize winner, who was sent by his professors in Marburg in Germany to study with Ramsay. And he describes the life of a German coming to London to work in the laboratory of a great UCL professor. And what this shows you is that almost imperceptibly, research had begun. Up until that period, up until the later 19th century, in England and even in Scotland, universities didn't really do research, and they certainly didn't train researchers. And this just began to happen, really, I suppose, out of competition with German universities. But University College was one of the first to catch up very rapidly. Now, at that time, researchers didn't do doctorates. Somebody like Otto Hahn, who came here, he already had his doctorate, and there wasn't a PhD as such. The PhD as such came very late in 1921, but some people did other doctorates. They did a DSc or a D.Lit, which are now higher doctorates that virtually nobody in London takes. But in a way, before the formality of a doctorate was invented, the reality of young people like yourself doing research was coming into existence at the end of the 19th century and in the early 20th century. Now that takes us up to the First World War and to the time of that speech about the advantages of a capital city university that I read at the beginning, and to another phase in UCL's history in which it was part of the wider university, but the strongest, most research-intensive part, and already had many of the features that it has today. So 20% of the students were not undergraduates. Now that would have been way higher than anywhere else in England. 28% of the students were not from the UK, an astonishingly high number for that period. So those proportions have increased still further now, but already you can see the profile of a university that doesn't just train young people to get their BA, and a university that is a global university for all the world. And it continued on that trajectory, and that was kind of how it was when I joined it. But then there was a final huge change which took place in the 1990s. At that point, the funding system of London University was changed so that money went directly to the colleges rather than going to a central council which then distributed to the colleges. And that was the point at which UCL became de facto a university, even if technically it's part of a vague umbrella club of a university. From that point also, University College began to grow enormously, and it also began to grow in international prestige. Now, I guess University College had always been a very fine university, but nobody quite knew how fine it was. And a few years after it became basically independent, league tables of universities started appearing. They began in China, and soon quite a lot of them began to appear. And suddenly people at this institution realized that they were among the tiny top elite of universities in the world. Now that partly went together with the increase in size because that gave it, as it were, the firepower to be a great university. But basically, it was simply describing what had always been the case, but we hadn't known it. And today, it's invariably in the top 20 universities of all the different ranking systems. Now, the previous provost, Sir Malcolm Grant, said he never took ranking systems seriously unless University College was near the top of them. And that's quite a sensible attitude. Nonetheless, I think what it has pinpointed is the sheer importance in world research of this institution. And I want to end just by thinking, why should this be? Why is it so important? And I think the reason why it's so important goes back to where I began, with H.A.L. Fisher, and also to the original conception of the council, which is that it is a huge advantage of a university to be in a great city, and there is no greater city than London. If you're in my kind of field, a historian, the British Library, the Warburg Institute, the Institute of Historical Research, the Public Record Office and National Archives, all the other libraries, give you an advantage over anywhere in the world. There is nowhere better. I remember once asking the director of the graduate school, David Bogle, well, all right, I can understand for the humanities, but why for the sciences? And he said, what you don't realize is that throughout London, it's more than Silicon Valley. There is a huge infrastructure, both of other universities or colleges, but also of research institutes, which are all there. So you have a tremendous convergence and critical mass. And this concentration in London is what makes the institution you come to one of the very best universities in the world. So enjoy your time here.
Someone kept it. Yes. Thank you. Okay. We're going to change track a little bit. Now, we want to do a student panel discussion with you all. We have a set of students who are all going to come up and sit at the desk here. And we're open to the floor for questions, which either I can try and help answer, or indeed, and perhaps more importantly, the students can answer. Okay, so let me just give you... Is there another mic? Shall I take it? Okay. So we'll go along, and you can we'll go along and you can introduce yourselves. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. Oh, what we're going to do first is just have the students, who are all PhD students, introduce themselves, where they're from, and what their PhD is. Can you manage that? Does it work?
I'm not sure. Does it work?
Yes, it's working. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Alexandra. I'm in my third year of my PhD in the School of Slavonic and East European Studies, and I study migration and Brexit.
Hey, my name's Alexander Stokes. I'm in the Department of Mathematics. I'm just starting my second year, and I'm from Australia.
I'm Jonathan James. I am at the IOE, and I'm just starting my second year also, just about to upgrade.
Hi, I'm Meg. I'm from the Department of Medical Physics. I study radiotherapy, and I did my undergraduate from Cambridge, and now I'm here.
Hello, I'm Huan Fa, and I'm the final year PhD student in Department of Civil, Environmental, and Geometric Engineering. And my research is about geographical information science and urban analytics.
Okay, thank you. So that's the team. Do we have any questions? So, no. Wow, okay. No one wants to ask anything at all? Where? Oh, you do? Where? Oh, okay, go for it. Okay, so what's the hardest thing that you've discovered or found in your PhD so far? Who wants to have a go? There haven't been any, obviously.
So yeah, it's like a roller coaster ride, and everyone says you will get stuck. And I know that's obvious, everyone's going to get stuck. But what I wasn't expecting was the kind of stuck that you'd get. It's a very isolating stuck. Or like while you're in it, it feels like that anyway. It feels like not only can you not solve this problem, or can you not like break through this barrier that you've got, but it also feels like you're the only one that could possibly do that. There's no one else that you can ask for help, or that's how it feels at the time anyway. But there are, like we've been saying or hearing the entire time, where in this environment of like one of the best research communities in the world, there are people that can help you. And so even if, like, looking back on these down points of the roller coaster, it would have seemed really dark while you're in it. You look back and you're like, oh no, it was all right.
That's fair, yeah. One of my PhD students, during his upgrade talk, had a picture of a roller coaster with myself and him in the car, going up and down, because it does have ups and downs. And I think that's the key point there, is sometimes you have a problem, but you don't, it's such a difficult problem, you can't actually even describe it to someone for them to help you. That's the type of quandary we have discussed. Okay, anyone else got more questions? Right at the back. Yep.
What's the most enjoyable part?
Okay, go for it.
I'm going to say that I'm doing field work and research, so I'm doing case studies in schools in England and France, and I mean, you don't spend that much time in the field, but I actually find being in schools, talking to teachers, and observing lessons the bit that I enjoy most, and maybe going and doing the interviews and going away and analysing those interviews are the bits that I've enjoyed most, I think.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I think the most enjoyable thing is that when my supervisor told me, okay, you can submit. And it was 2 months ago. Yeah.
Meg?
I absolutely love going to conferences with my research group, and so I'm still only just in my second year of my PhD, so I haven't presented very much myself, but watching my other friends in my research group present their work and the supportive community around that, I adore.
Yeah, I agree. Have you got any tips for new PhD students?
Well, I think my top tip would be don't keep your research only for yourself, and even if you don't think your research is finished or you have findings, do share it with your colleagues, do discuss it with your supervisor. In my department, for instance, we have a lot of seminars when we can present research in any stage, and it's really a nice space to share your ideas and get inspired by other colleagues. And they're open to the public as well, some of them, which is also important to actually be able to communicate your ideas and your research to a range of audiences, including the wider public.
Top tip. So that was one of the things we talked about earlier on the slides, was networking, going out and finding out what's out there and being part of it. Top tip. There's a hand there. The question was, if you're a part-time student and you don't perhaps live that close to London or in London, how do you make the most of all these other things? We've got one of those on the panel. Luckily, there's someone here. Doesn't live in Australia, though.
Yeah, I commute from Cambridge to London, and I actually did some work, especially teaching, although I'm full-time. So, to be honest, it is indeed difficult. I won't say it's easy, and I think, yeah, you can't make most of, especially evening events. I always rush for the train back home to catch the last train, and, it's limiting in some ways. But still, I could make some of the lunchtime seminar talks that I have in my department, for example. I found in other universities as well, so I found that I could go at other times in other universities to attend talks related to my subject as well. So if it doesn't necessarily work in your department, to try to look broader in other institutions that could help as well with some ideas for your research. And honestly, I wish that in 2016, when I started my PhD, I would do some time management courses. And I think actually there's something on the Doctoral School website, if I'm not wrong, about time management, because that's quite a skill to be able to manage your time if you're commuting, especially if you have family, and if you do other activities like paid work as well.
I think the other key is planning, which is part of time management, I guess, but it's actually when things are on, is that the right time to come to work and come to do my PhD and take advantage of a special seminar or a couple of seminars, etc. I think that's also key. It's not easy, actually.
I think I'll book an appointment with the mentor.
Yeah, already.
About my operating addiction as well.
Yes. Yeah. I had one here. Okay. So this is about doctoral skills training courses that the panel has done or could recommend?
I did one, it was from thoughts to thesis, project managing your PhD. I really enjoyed that actually, and if anything, it was a really good way to meet other people from different departments. So when I started my my department itself, put on a lot of master's courses that I could audit if I felt it could be useful for my research work, but then obviously I'm only mixing with the other people in my department. So I found going along to some of the more general thinking about time management, project managing your PhD, how to handle your supervisor, they're brilliant courses because you do meet PhD students from all other departments and faculties, which was really, really useful, and you're split up into groups and you have to do like some project work together and things like that. Is really good.
Yeah, I did lots of courses with the Doctoral School, both transferable skills, like you mentioned, but also specifically related to my research. So, for example, I use interviews and ethnography in my own research, and I found courses directly relevant to different methods, different ways to analyze the data, so those were directly relevant and useful for my actual research. But at the same time, I actually found the courses on public engagement, for example, public speaking. I used to be quite nervous speaking in public, presenting my findings and so on, and I really felt those courses actually helped with my confidence and being able to present in smaller groups and then actually presenting your own research. So I would recommend that public engagement and public speaking courses as well.
Good. Anyone else?
I would just second, really, there were the things that I found really useful are the generic how-to transferable skills ones. They're definitely not to be underestimated, because I suppose you need to learn, I've needed to learn a lot of methods for qualitative data collection, but also I think the ones that have been really valuable have also been the ones that are just general how-to courses as well. So not to be missed out, I don't think.
Yeah, I think they fulfil a number of roles, and that not just what they're about, but it's the meeting. All of my PhD students have enjoyed all of them, and I think there's one towards the end about thesis writing. Have you done those? I think they're quite good. Academic writing, thesis writing, planning, always useful. At the back. Okay. So this is about, I don't know if you all heard, this is about trying to take some master's level modules, not necessarily the credit bearing parts, but actually attending to see what's going on and not being successful. Have any of you guys done that? Oh.
I think it really depends on the department. So I'm working on migration, but from a sociology perspective, and I attended some economics classes on migration. And I directly contacted the lecturer, and I just asked, do you have a space just to sit and listen to your lecture? I won't really participate because I'm not an economist, but I would like to take some notes. And he said, yes, that's fine. So I think it really depends on the individual tutor or the lecturer, if they have space and if they're also willing to have people who are not necessarily contributing as much as the other people, especially if you're not from the same discipline. But I would suggest to contact them directly if you know who they are.
So I think we've done that. I think you ought to speak to your supervisor about that and make sure they're supportive and ask them to help. But I would still go back to your supervisor and ask him to write to them or contact them about that. I don't have a problem. I wouldn't have a problem with you sitting in my my modules that I run. Not that you'd want to, being part of it, I'm just saying. Right. Anyone else? Any more questions? White shirt. Yeah, white shirt.
If I start again, if I haven't done that, I should have done some things, or
Of writing a literature review? Oh, at the beginning of the research. So this is to frame your research in what's that's out there.
I would just say one thing that I thought I wanted to share is that, because everyone says this, right? But it's true that writing takes so much longer than you think it's going to. So take whatever time you think it's going to take and maybe double it. And I also would say that I have a tendency to be like, I'm just going to read one more book, or I'm just going to read one more source. And actually, sometimes coming back to you do have 3 years to get your head around the canon of whatever it is that you're reading, and you probably don't even know the canon anyway. And so I think starting writing, stopping yourself reading and starting writing is something that my supervisor has to get me to do all the time, but I think it's something that's been a really valuable lesson for me. So get writing would be my main bit of advice.
Anyone else?
I found something that was quite a wake-up call between doing undergraduate and coming into postgraduate research is gradually you learn as you, I tend to read a lot of papers instead of books, but at first when I read papers it was like, wow, these researchers, they're so clever, look at the research they've done, and now you're learning the skills to critically analyze what they're doing, and sometimes you realize that not everyone is perfect, and even someone with a history of many publications and many citations, sometimes you are allowed to disagree with what they've done or some conclusions that they make in their work, and that's fine.
No, that's fine, yes.
Yeah, you're particularly allowed to question.
Yeah.
For sure. And yeah, just on the literature review point, as much as it is important to stop reading and start writing, in maths in particular, what I found with doing literature reviews or like doing background things, what you may feel at the time is like, oh, this is trivial. This shouldn't be taking me this long to read this paper. This should be like easy. I should be doing it. You can like really feel like you're wasting time, and it can like cause you a lot of stress. But when you look back at it, it's like, no, the time when I was, doing something that I thought was trivial at the time, that will be like later on the most important thing for the research that you build on top of this like understanding that you got while you did what you thought was a toy problem.
There was a question up at the back, yes.
Yeah, what's something that you wish that you would have started doing sooner when it comes to like preparing for the next steps and going into your career?
Okay, this is a question about what you wished you'd started earlier. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, what do you wish you started earlier?
Doing your elevator pitch. Not in an elevator sense, but in explaining your research to other people in a way that will appeal to them regardless of their interests, really. Like if, as we've said in the past, if you can do this 3-minute thesis thing, if you can talk in the pub or cafe about what you do to someone who is from who has no, it's the first time they've ever heard of algebraic geometry, and you can make them really excited about algebraic geometry, then that's what you got to learn to do, I think. And that's what I wish I'd started doing earlier.
I think that's key. I think it's also actually quite difficult to do a 3-minute thesis, or whatever you call it, the elevator pitch, part of public engagement. It's not something you can do overnight, and actually practicing that from early days is helpful, because it's so alien to use those languages, or that type of language, because you don't use it in the lab, you don't use it with your colleagues. It's just stepping out of that completely and trying to dumb it down, but without making it wrong or sound trivial. Very difficult to do. Go along to the thesis, the 3MT thesis competitions, join in, have a go. We have heats all the way through. Ben's talked about that. I judge some of them, certainly the faculty ones, and it's a brilliant thing to do. Anyone else thinking about something you should have started earlier?
Yeah, I just want to say that I participated in the 3-minute thesis, and I found it a very rewarding experience. And also there's training, so if you're not particularly confident speaking in public, there's a full-day training on the 3-minute thesis run by the Doctoral School, and it's quite useful for other types of presentation as well. What I want to say, what I wished I could have done earlier, is just start writing, like anything really. It could be, especially if you're doing field work, I did about a year of field work, doing interviews, observation in different locations in the UK, and you do have some notes, and you do have the interview recordings, the transcripts, and so on, but it's really important to write your reflections as well. What do you actually think whilst you're in the field? What could you have done better, and so on, and people don't really tend to write that because they're just rushing to get more interviews and to get more data, and it's good to have a moment to actually have and stop and reflect on your own practice in the field as well, if you're doing field work.
Anyone else? What about learning to, or training your supervisor early? So training your supervisor and managing your supervisor is something you should do early as well, I think. Or certainly get that relationship going so you know what's going on. Any more questions?
In terms of working with industry partners or external partners, can you talk about how to make that a successful relationship?
I can talk about that. From the first off, make sure your supervisor has put all the necessary agreements in place, especially relating to IP. UCL has an own branch, UCL Business, and they handle a lot of the issues that are relating between collaborations with companies. It's difficult, because, especially agreements between students, because if you're part of UCL staff, UCL own your IP, but a PhD student themselves, their IP is individual to them, and often most commercial companies wanting to collaborate and paying for students, they'll want to have full ownership of IP, and basically collaborations with companies often end up with a lot of battles over IP, so make sure everything is written down in a contract first.
I think that's the key. I have industrial sponsorship, I have PhD students run by industry. The key is having the conversation early and really finding out what's expected of that relationship. The current one we have, the company are more than keen for us to publish anything and everything. That's not always the same. Clinical trials, for instance, are much more tricky with what you can and can't do, and suddenly you find yourself scuppered because something hasn't worked. It suddenly is not publishable or published, or they wish to do that and they have a veto. That's when at the beginning of the contract, that's when UCL business, research contracts, etc. become involved. And you have to get that right. I have never had problems. I've always had a good relationship with those industrial sponsors. But it can be very difficult. And they often have, the way I've always gone into it is trying to ensure that they want academy out of it, so that they need we've always gone in by thinking the PhD student has to do a PhD that they run, that goes in the general direction that you want funded. Yeah, I get that, but in that route, and it certainly doesn't have all of the stop-start timelines. And you know, you've done that for a year. That project's closed. We've changed our minds. We're going to do that. That's really not about a PhD. And if you the conversation that needs to be had before, that's what a postdoc does. But the PhD is that journey, and you have to make sure that the sponsors are up for that journey, because it might not go where they wished it to go in the first place. And as long as that works, and I've always had that as something that's worked, it's fine. Any more questions? Down here. So the question is, how do you balance doing your PhD with doing other academic things? And that could be helping out students, other students in the lab, project students. It could be help writing a paper or doing a little bit of work on something else. Is that the type of thing? How do you balance that? Carefully.
One tip, I sometimes shove that work onto the weekend, so I'm like, okay, so the week is going to be PhD stuff, and then at the weekend I'll do my extracurricular. So that's one way I approach that.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think making a very good plan is very useful. So leave enough time for your PhD, and then besides that, you can work on other things.
Synchronized calendars, I do use that, several of them. It's very useful. And planning, I usually on a Sunday evening, I actually plan all the week ahead. Of course, things may change, but it's really useful to have an overview of the week and to know, especially if you're commuting from somewhere else or you don't necessarily live central London, it's really useful to know when and where you'll be and kind of plan around that. And also, leave enough time for writing and also use any time you have for writing. So for example, I commute about 2 hours a day on the train and actually write on the train. So I use that time creatively rather than just staring at my phone. So it could make a difference in your PhD writing.
I'd also say the other big thing that I learned is learn to say no.
It's about managing a supervisor.
You will be asked to, oh, can you just help this? Oh, can you supervise this master's student? Oh, can you just help with this? Can you organize this conference? And learning to say no was like my biggest thing that I learned to do this year.
I think that there's two parts to this. One is planning, so that you need me to do something. When do you need me to do it? Not tomorrow. Oh, by Christmas. Okay, that's fine. I can fit that in. PhDs aren't just a roller coaster of ups and downs with respect to how it's going. They're also usually have busy and quiet points in them. You know, actually, I've got a big experiment on. My PhD student currently is in 7 days a week because there's a big experiment going on. We deal with living things. You can't stop once you start. But then he'll have, in fact, then we're going to the States to a conference. So it's a quiet time then. We could do other things. And fitting in other academic things can be done in those quieter times, but that's about planning, because your quieter time might be the end of November. So I'll do it then, because they are key, they are helpful. You'll get another paper out of it. You'll get some experience of supervising MSc students or something along those lines, which might get another paper out of it. I mean, because all of the time you need to think, what's in it for me sometimes? As a student, what is in it for me? Well, actually, if I can get my name on another paper, I'll do those couple of experiments, because that's how we're measured, or you're going to be measured, when you want to go for a job. Perhaps I'm thinking of the sciences more, but the bigger that list on your back of, on your CV, the better. And if you can do those, then I think that's worth doing. That's finished. Oh. We're finished. I hope that was useful. It's 12:30. Thank you very much for coming, and welcome to UCL. Thank you to the panel. Thank you very much, panel. Very useful. Thanks, guys. It's good. You enjoy it?